We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Memorial Day. This is the Born to Talk radio show. I'm your host, Marsha Wietecha, broadcasting in my beautiful hometown of Westchester in the LA Talk Live studio. And this show is particularly significant today because of the guests that I have. And I'd like now to introduce to you my guest today. And we're going to start with the person on my right, which is Mike Gorman. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm swell. Lorena Brickler. I knew, see, I always do that. Somebody's name I'm going to mess up. I didn't get Lorena wrong. I got the last name wrong. Lorena Brickler, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Marsha, for having us.
And Mike, I introduced both of you, but what I think that's really important for our audience to know about is that you are both members of Team Rubicon. You each have a different responsibility. You are the regional administrator for Region 9. You are the district coordinator for the San Diego Imperial County chapter of Team Rubicon. And this show is going to be all about the phenomenal work that you do individually and collectively, not only here, but around the world. And it's going to give our audience an opportunity to know just something about your organization. But before we really do that part, I thought it would be great to know, who are these people with these headsets on, wearing these Team Rubicon shirts? So, Mike, could you just take a couple moments and just sort of introduce yourself and tell our audience something about you?
Yeah, sure. So, as you said, I'm the regional administrator for Region 9. We are structured similar to FEMA, so we have 10 regions across the United States. Region 9 consists of California, Nevada, Arizona, and Hawaii. So, in a nutshell, I help train and prepare and recruit about 8,000 volunteers in my region to deploy to disasters domestically and internationally.
Okay.
Where'd
you grow up?
Oh, yeah. So I grew up in New York State,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
not the city.
Okay.
And
I noticed that distinction, yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's more of a Canadian accent, if anything. And after college, I joined the military.
What branch?
Army.
Okay.
Infantry. So I deployed to Afghanistan as an infantry platoon leader and Iraq as a company commander. And then when I came back in 2007, I got off active duty and kind of started just perusing through different careers, trying to figure out where I fit in. I worked in logistics for a large Fortune 500 company. I dabbled in professional sports in management. And then after a little stint in construction, managing a construction company, I was fortunate enough to come to Team Rubicon and work full-time here. So.
Okay, and you're married, you have children?
I am, yeah. I'm married to a beautiful, loving wife, Erin, and we have 3 children.
Oh, nice.
Noah is 7, Eli is 6, and our youngest Maggie is 4.
Okay, and go New York Giants. I know I'm supposed
That's right,
to say that.
that's right.
You didn't even pay me. I did my homework. Okay, Lorena, you have quite an interesting story. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Lorena Brickler. I am the district coordinator for San Diego and Imperial counties, which is in California, pretty much from San Clemente in Southern California all the way to the Mexican border, south, and then to the east, it would be all the way to Calexico, which is almost Arizona. So it's a very big area.
Where were you born? Do I hear an accent?
Yes, you
okay.
do. I was born in Mexico City, and I grew up in Mexico City and Venezuela and a little bit in Chile. We're a very international family. My father served in the U.S. Army for a very, very small period of time.
Cool.
And we moved to the United States in 1981 to the San Diego area. So I have been here since.
Okay, and you're married and you have a family.
Yes, I am married to a Navy man, and
That's why I wore anchors.
Thank you. He's a boat guy. He's in submarines. He was in submarines, and now he has another job with the SEALs. And I have a 22-year-old daughter going on 40.
Okay.
She just graduated from college 2 weeks ago.
So she knows everything, doesn't she?
Oh,
do, honey.
She's known everything since she was about 7.
I have one of those.
Oh,
I understand.
I think Mike has one of those at home too.
They start very young. That
They do.
personality starts very young.
Yes.
You know, I think it would be great in this little portion of our opening to just tell people that are just not familiar with what Team Rubicon is. And we're going to be referring to it as Team Rubicon during the show, maybe sometimes TR. But can you just tell us just a little bit about Team Rubicon?
Yeah, so Team Rubicon is a disaster response organization. We're a nonprofit, and we pair the skills and experiences of first responders, civilians, and veterans to respond to disasters all around the world. So we are primarily veteran organized, so we have about 70% of our organization is veterans, but we don't...
Men and women.
Men and women, but we don't limit our volunteers to being veterans. For instance, Lorena is not a veteran, but she is obviously a very active member in Team Rubicon.
And a volunteer.
And a volunteer.
Right. Okay. When we think about Team Rubicon, since you didn't have a military background, what sort of drew you to Team Rubicon then?
Service. I first heard about Team Rubicon when they were in Chile. And I want to say that it's been my experience that in the rest of the world, they see the U.S. military or the allied military as kind of an imperialistic army that they just come and take or come and destroy. And my experience with Team Rubicon is I heard about them after the earthquake in Chile. And what was most...
Which earthquake?
In
that
2010?
I was on my way to land there. I was 30 minutes from landing at Santiago when that earthquake hit.
Team Rubicon was there.
Oh, that just gave me goosebumps. Really, we had a route back to Peru. We couldn't land. No kidding.
So it was amazing to hear that there were these Marines there.
Yes.
No one knew, the Marines are here, the U.S. Marines. And it was very surprising because you don't see the military in South America that often. I mean, you see it in Central America and much less dressed in uniform. It turns out that they were not in uniform. It was Team Rubicon. They had their gray shirts on, but we use military pants sometimes or first responder pants. So it does look like the military, but we're not. And that's how I heard about Team Rubicon. And it was a reminder to not only to me, but the citizens of Chile and anyone that heard about them in the radio and the TV, that we are more than...
Closed the airport down. I mean, it was a disaster. There was a tsunami. I know. It was
amazing.
Big deal.
It was amazing. And Team Rubicon was there. They had feet in the ground, boots in the ground about a week later, helping out the people in the epicenter.
Terrific. Now, we're going to take our first break. Now, I like to select my music on purpose. You mentioned you like Pearl Jam. My daughter likes Pearl Jam. It's her same age. The name of the song is what? Jeremy. I wonder why I picked that song. Because it have anything to do with Jeremy Neal that we happen to know that just was joining me.
That's right, Jeremy
last
Neal,
week. That's right.
Friend,
he's a
Team Rubicon.
He's a cool guy. He's off camera again. This is the second time he's been off camera. I'm going to get this dude on my show. Stay tuned, everybody. We're going to be right back talking all about Team Rubicon.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Marsha Wietecha, inviting you to join me every Monday at 1 p.m. for Born to Talk, where conversation plus connections equal community. Be sure to tune in to Born to Talk with Marsha Wietecha, Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also listen live at iTunes Radio R&B. TuneIn Radio, Radio Flag, Live 365, or AHA Radio. This is Reality Radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. We are LA Talk Live, and we are born to talk. Welcome back, everybody, to the A-Team. I love this song. Okay. I thought it was appropriate because A and the A-Team, I know that there's nothing that says A in the team Rubicon, but you are, in the report card, A is the highest letter you can get, and I'm giving you guys an A. So what is the story behind the name Team Rubicon? People have asked me, when I told them that you guys are going to be on the show, it's like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's great. We get asked that a lot because people are wondering if we're some sort of Jeep gang or some sort of club. No, the story is it references crossing the Rubicon, which is a phrase usually used and synonymous with like a point of no return. When you cross the Rubicon, you're crossing a point of no return, and that references Julius Caesar, marching on Rome, crossing the Rubicon back in 49 BC, and where they burned the boats once they crossed the Rubicon, they crossed the point of no return, and there was no way that they were going back. So when Jake Wood and Will McNulty, the two founders of Team Rubicon, crossed the Artibonite, I believe I pronounced that right, the river that separated Haiti from the Dominican Republic, they in essence crossed their own point of no return. They crossed their own Rubicon. So
were they military men as well?
They were. They're both Marines, but they were recently removed from active duty. They both left active duty recently. So it references what Lorena said earlier, which is the camo pants and the T-shirts, backwards baseball caps type look. But yeah, they crossed their own Rubicon that day, and that was in January, I believe, 2010. So here we are, just over 7 years later, and
they had a vision. Forward. They must have obviously had a vision. Have you ever really asked them about that?
I mean, I don't have to ask. Like it's written everywhere. In our organization. It's embedded in our culture, and you can find it in volunteers. Throughout the organization. So
you want to add something to this, don't you, Lorena?
It's a great story. Jake Wood was sitting in his living room watching what had happened in Haiti and thinking, I can be doing something. I have the skills. I have been in places like that. I can do something. I can make a difference. And through Facebook, he got in contact.
Through social media.
He said, I want to go down. Who's with me? And 3 other guys, also Marines, decided they will join him. And at the airport, they met a couple of people that were also going without
direction, without an organization.
Without an organization or pretty much knowing where they were going.
Sure.
They got to the Dominican Republic because there was no airport in Haiti. It had been... it couldn't be used. And they rented a couple of trucks, and they went across the river. And once they crossed it, the story is that they started joking and said, well, this is our Rubicon. We're not burning our truck or a boat, but we can't go back. We either go forth or, we'll stay here until we're needed. And within 10 days, they helped thousands of people with everything from setting... they did a little bit of medicine, medical treatment and first aid. A lot of medicine mainly. And anything from delivering babies to setting knees and bones. And by the end of those, I believe it was 10 days, they were pretty much in charge of the emergency room hospital in
Let me interrupt you here because I when we start having these conversations, I never know what the responses are going to be. So part of your Team Rubicon manpower, woman power, are physicians, people that were perhaps doctors in the military?
Right now, it's much more structured and organized to be that way. But at the time, Jake and Will were just using the experience that they had learned in the military to provide medical aid.
No kidding. Well, let's talk a little bit about the structure. How are you organized?
We're organized after the FEMA regions. FEMA is in the United States, so because Team Rubicon is also an international, a global nonprofit as well, a non-government organization. But we're more involved with the national disasters at this time, Mike and I. And what we do is the United States is divided into 10 regions, and it goes, number one would be the Northeast United States, and then it goes down and up and down and up. So in California, we belong to Region 9, and Region 9 is
So we said it was California. Let me see if I
Nevada.
paid
Yeah,
attention.
there we go.
California, Nevada, Arizona, Hawaii.
That's right.
Did I miss anybody?
no.
Nope.
Okay. So does that mean, Mike, with that responsibility as a regional person, do you find that you travel to all of those locations for meetings, for...
I will be traveling, yeah. So I came on board last summer.
All right.
And I spent the first 6 months just trying to figure out up from down and keep my head above water. So
It's a
I
big
have
responsibility.
started exactly. I've started what I'm calling the RA Tours the States. And I'm kicking that off. Actually, next week I'm going to be in Arizona,
Okay.
followed up by Hawaii, of course, and then Nevada. And
Terrific.
I get to Northern and Southern California pretty
Oh,
frequently.
that's great. All right. Well, that's so that is the structure. And you say you have a CEO and a CFO, and so you have a managerial staff. Okay.
But I mean, keep in mind our managerial staff is approximately 60 or 65 people. That includes every paid employee, and then we have over 40,000 volunteers. So the real
Force.
backbone of the organization is our volunteers and our volunteer leaders.
And I know that I've been talking about Jeremy for a couple of weeks now, and Jeremy's off the camera. I've mentioned that about 100 times as well. But your national headquarters is almost walking distance from where we are sitting right now.
It's right next to LAX
And
Airport.
what an interesting. Have you been there into the
Yes.
office? You've been there.
Oh yeah.
Wow, it was like going into a library. It's like it's so quiet. in
You
here.
know what
It's
you're going to
ironic how
Yeah,
quiet it is,
it's so-
considering the personalities of the
And
people that work there.
and what gets accomplished in that area is remarkable.
They are incredible. I mean, not only our leaders that are part of Team Rubicon, part of those 65 employees, quote unquote. Everyone that I have met at Team Rubicon is just so passionate about what they do. They make fun of me because I am passionate. It's just that I'm outspoken about it.
Well, why not?
Well, exactly. They're so quiet about it. Somebody has to spread the TR word.
There you go.
I volunteer.
There you go, and you do it well. Let's talk a little bit about the training process, because everybody didn't have the same military experience. So, how do you? Oh, she's. You know what? She's just dying to jump in again.
I know.
Go.
She's
You
trying to
start.
steal the spotlight.
Hold on. Go.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna let Mike start, and then she's not excited to be here.
We
Go ahead.
I know. Yeah, your passion is definitely shining.
It is.
We have internal and external training that we conduct within our organization. Internally, we have training that we've developed for ourselves, like Sawyer training, chainsaw training, basically, core operations training, which gets everyone on the same page. It lets everyone understand how to tarp a roof or cut drywall out of a flooded house, how to pull all the damaged and destroyed debris out of a tornado-stricken house or whatever. And then we have external training that we've adopted to our own organization, such as the Fish and Wildlife have a heavy equipment training class that we have adopted, and we use the same standards as the Bureau of Land Management, Fish and Wildlife. So we'll conduct that class, and we also probably the most significant training that we do is ICS, Incident Command Structure. That is what FEMA uses and what the U.S. government uses to respond to disasters, is the incident command structure. So we adopted that training, and all of our volunteers must complete some level of that training in order to be deployable and to respond on disasters.
What did you want to add?
Or did I get it all?
You did it all. I want to say that IC gets very complicated if we don't know what that is. Is what all of the people that are involved in a disaster response is the idiom, is the language that they speak. You don't want to have someone just saying, "Oh, it's north of the the fire station. If you have someone from out of town that doesn't know where the fire station
Sure.
is, you want everyone to know what their lanes are and how to stay on their lanes whenever they're doing something. So we want to follow the same model that FEMA has so we can complement them and help each other in any way we can.
So you've had this training too, haven't you?
Yes, to be
Just a little bit.
to be a volunteer, you have to go through a little bit of, you sign up at teamrubiconusa.org, and you go to roll call, and you can sign up. You can find out a little bit more about who we are, and you sign up. And in order to be a bona fide gray shirt, and I'll explain what that is in a minute,
Okay.
you have to take two ICS classes that are offered by FEMA via the internet. It's ICS 700 and 100. And once you do that, you are given your TR number, Team Rubicon number, your membership number. Now you are a gray shirt. A gray shirt is just a volunteer. We don't have.
No, you don't. You know what? You don't want to say just, because that minimizes who you are. You are volunteers.
We are gray shirts.
Yes, you
And
are.
a gray shirt does everything that is asked of us by the command, by the people ahead of us. There is absolutely no ranks. When you're thinking of the military, there are not ranks in Team Rubicon. You can step in, and if you're qualified, if you have the background, or if you have taken the classes to do any job that you want to do. Mike,
Why don't you explain? You've been a member since August of last year, so not even an entire year. And go ahead and go down through the list of all the trainings that you've attended already.
It has been amazing.
Okay,
I have
let's hear
done
it.
the heavy equipment operators.
What does that mean? I mean, like you've gotten into a truck and driven one of those trucks?
Not a
It's
truck.
not a truck,
I mean,
an
there's-
excavator. I got to drive an excavator.
Wait a minute, like you were excited to do that.
Well-
Huh? Would you have a booster seat? How'd you do that?
No, they move.
Oh.
They can be lifted up, down. They move
All
up
right.
and down.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing.
Uh-huh.
It's
Powerful,
incredible.
huh?
It's powerful. You feel strong. Besides, ladies and gentlemen, ladies that are listening to this, I am told that guys think it's hot when a girl can drive one of the heavy equipment things. Just saying. But no,
story.
it's amazing.
God.
And how it works is we have a great partnership with Case Construction, which is not a construction company, but they're an equipment rental. And what they do is they saw Team Rubicon work after Sandy in the Rockaways near New York or New Jersey area. And the owner of Case said, hey, I want to help these guys. Well, fast forward a few years, and if we want to use their equipment, we are just trained. First, it was by their own instructors to use their equipment, and now it's by Team Rubicon instructors that have gone through the training. They are teaching any gray shirt that wants to sign up for these trainings. You go to these trainings for free.
What do you want to add, Mike?
No, I'm eager for her to get down her list because she's also attended chainsaw training, and that's, again, a great partnership we have with Steel Chainsaws. And I know that you've attended our IMT training, which is Incident Management Team. I know you've attended all the ICS trainings we've had, ICS 300, ICS 400, which are both brutal in-person government-run 2-day courses that kind of make you want to scratch your eyeballs out. But
You
they're
do.
important because that's the structure that we use on disasters. And
I feel the opportunity to get more and more training, it makes me a better steward of what Team Rubicon does. It gives me an opportunity to talk to different people about all the capabilities that Team Rubicon has. It's not only about going to disaster areas and mucking out a house, which means if it has been flooded, we go in and we take all the belongings of the people out. We cut the drywall. We take out the insulation. We pick up the floor. It's not only that. If you have an interest in joining to learn how to direct the people that go and do this, there's a place for you in Team Rubicon. And there's many trainings that I enjoy much more than others. But I want to be able to explain to anyone that will listen what we're capable of doing.
Do you have recruiter under her name in the dictionary somewhere? My goodness.
It's her middle name, actually. You missed it. In
Wow.
the
I love what
intro.
I do.
Well,
I love what I
clearly,
do.
You couldn't be listening to this and not want to just put your hand up and say, I want to be just like her. My gosh. We talked a little bit about international. So you deploy both. Do you deploy internationally from the U.S. or is it just that you have other organizations? I believe, let's talk about that. Team Rubicon is not just in the U.S., is it?
No, it's not. Obviously, it started in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talked about, it started with a couple of Marines, you know,
Yes.
doing the right thing. But it has since grown to countries worldwide. We have 5 Team Rubicons in the world. There's Team Rubicon USA, Team Rubicon Canada, Team Rubicon UK, Team Rubicon Australia, and Team Rubicon Netherlands. And there are several more organizations within the NATO alliance that are coming on board, you know, in the coming months and coming years that are going to be joining the ranks of Team Rubicon. So
Same structure.
same structure, same. It's almost like a franchise. We give them kind of a blueprint of what a Team Rubicon organization looks like, and then they kind of run with it from there. But it's all about empowering and repurposing veterans, whatever the country may be, and helping them to respond to disasters and serve communities, in their own neighborhood.
You know what occurs to me as you're speaking about disasters? Once the disasters happen, then you go. But we live on a fault, right? I was watching that Lucy Jones that's out of Caltech. She's the expert on earthquakes, and read an article about something she did just most recently where she took a group of people right to the San Andreas Fault. And she said, okay, you stand here, you stand on this side, and you stand on this side. And she said, at a moment's notice, the possibility is there will be 30 feet between us. So do you ever train for the possibilities of like earthquake? I mean, that's where we live. I mean, do you train prior to what the disaster is for those reasons?
We conduct training pretty regularly for all types of disasters. Again, we're not boasting ourselves in the United States as being first responders, as like,
Okay.
We're not necessarily cruising around in boats during a flood, rescuing people from rooftops. We're not necessarily the first responders on a wildfire, although I could talk more about that because we do have a great relationship with the Bureau of Land Management, where we send Team Rubicon volunteers through red card training, which is training to be able to fight on wildfires. But the bottom line is, once a disaster strikes, we are there, within a moment's notice to help recover from the disaster and respond to it. So after a tornado, we're going to be, the first people on the ground to help provide support to other first responders that are on the ground so they can focus on their jobs and on their responsibilities. Exactly. So instead of a first responder, having his family's safety and his house's well-being in the back of his head after a flood, he knows that Team Rubicon is taking care of it.
That's terrific.
And then we move on to other veterans in the area and to lower income and non-insured to make sure that we're helping the community bounce back.
Fabulous. We're going to take another break as we go somewhere over the rainbow, which was a song that you wanted. It's a great song, isn't it? I love it too. Stay tuned, everybody. There's more to come with Team Rubicon in the house. We'll be right back.
And the dreams that you dream of once in a lullaby. Over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dream of, dreams really do come true.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, Hi, this is Marsha Wietecha, inviting you to join me every Monday at 1 p.m. for Born to Talk, where conversation plus connections equal community. Be sure to tune in to Born to Talk with Marsha Wietecha, Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also listen live at iTunes Radio R&B, TuneIn Radio, Radio Flag, Live 365, or AHA Radio. This is Reality Radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. We are LA Talk Live, and we are born to talk. We're back, everybody. We're going to rock you like a hurricane. Is that a song you play? No, I don't want to know about it. That's like, oh man, a hurricane! Yay! Let's rock like a hurricane, right?
That's what happens when you start doing disaster response. You wake up every day. You don't want to loss of life.
Yes,
but you want to know where everything is happening.
Sure, you
it's
bet.
It's a really weird dynamic.
It is kind of weird, huh?
Being so energized and so anxious on someone's worst day. So it's weird.
There's
you have to kind of almost keep your emotions in check.
I bet. But that's what you do in the military. I mean, that's part, we've talked about that. That's part of your training, is to know how to keep those emotions in check. That when there's a disaster of any sorts, you can go.
Definitely.
What did you want to say? I can see.
That Team Rubicon has a two-pronged mission. The first one is disaster response, and the second one is to unite all the veterans that when they come back, and we have millions of them coming every year, is they find themselves a little bit lost in civilian world, and Team Rubicon gives you the opportunity as a veteran to come back and be in the group of guys that have gone through the same thing you have gone through, and you're helping others, like Mike said, in the worst day of their lives. But rather than making them victims, they are our clients.
Wonderful.
We're making them feel like there's hope, and it has been your own military that has helped you get back on your feet a little bit. You're better off today than you were yesterday. Thanks to your own military. And for many, many civilians that we have helped, they have never met one-on-one a member of the military. If you have, it's by saying thank you for your service, or let me buy you a coffee, let me buy you dinner. But for many, many people that we have helped, I'm always surprised by the response of the homeowners that come up and said, I had never met the military before. Thank you.
That's
and
nice.
These guys don't know what to answer. And the answer should be, thank you for letting us be of service. I mean, thank you for letting us help in our own country.
If people were to look you up on your website, they would see that you are a Clay Fellow. And I know that has to do with Clay Hunt, but I don't know the story behind Clay Hunt or what it means to be a Clay Fellow. So I'm really interested to know about that story.
Yeah. So Clay Hunt Fellow is it's an honor, first of all, a very humbling honor. But Clay was one of the original members of Team Rubicon. He arrived in Haiti, I want to say, like 48 hours after Jake and Will stepped foot on ground. And he, was with them throughout, the first year of their existence, back when everything was just kind of a jumble, responding to, earthquakes in Haiti and Chile and tsunamis and mudslides in Pakistan. And so, he found his purpose with Team Rubicon. He found his purpose again after his service in the Marines. It should be noted that he was also, a very close friend of Jake Woods from the Marine Corps. They had served together, and so unfortunately, Clay also had a darker side. He battled with PTSD a lot, and he lost that battle in 2011, and his passing actually changed the trajectory of the organization. We went from being a disaster response organization that used veterans, to accomplish that, to, a disaster response organization with a secondary mission to help the veterans, both, emotionally, physically, by providing them purpose. We provide them with, support through assist training, which is applied suicide intervention skills training.
How big is that problem?
It's 22 veterans a day.
Oh, yes, we know
yeah,
that. We
yeah.
actually, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I do know that because we actually have a veteran that's on this radio station, Ferran Dozier, and there's a whole cause for 22 a day, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And, after Clay's passing, Jake and Will and, a lot of other organizations, not just Team Rubicon, IAVA, which is Iraq Afghan Veterans of America, they lobbied to Congress to get the Clay Hunt Act approved. And
wonderful.
so what that does, it basically, in a nutshell, improves the access to and quality of medical care for veterans through the VA. So it's a long road. We're not where we need to be yet, but we're getting there. So
And so you've been honored as a fellow. What does that mean?
it was a great fellowship. So the first portion of the fellowship really helps you discover who you are and what drives you and what motivates you. At the time, I was working in the construction industry. I was an operations supervisor for a small company, but it was just a job to pay the bills. There was no passion in it. There was no purpose. And the way I describe the fellowship is it's kind of like standing in the doorway of a C-130 airplane with your parachute on, and you know that you need to jump, and you're ready to jump, but there's something holding you back. And the fellowship is that boot in your back that kind of kicks you out the door and says you need to jump. And that's what it did. Midway through the fellowship, I applied for a position with Team Rubicon, and after months of interviews and cold sweats and unknowns, I was fortunate enough to be able to be offered a job.
So there's a leadership component to this.
There is, yeah. There's a large leadership component to the fellowship. There's also like a capstone project that is conducted by the fellows, which ultimately is the fellowship giving back to the organization.
Nice.
I think the biggest success story there is a fellow of mine, David Venables. He was the one that spearheaded the partnership with U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the Bureau of Land Management to create the heavy equipment training that Lorena was talking about earlier. So now we have this robust relationship with all these refuges throughout the United States, and with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife to be able to conduct these trainings. And he spearheaded the case equipment partnership. So it's just been a great program, the Clay Hunt Fellowship.
You bet. Well, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
being acknowledged for that. Lorena, I almost don't even know what to ask you because you've been with the organization a relatively short period of time. You mentioned that your dad was in the military, your husband is in the military, but you are so dynamic about the things that you do. Like I could picture you being that person that goes into a high school and you're like, or someplace, and you're just going to recruit volunteers, and people are going to want to like sign up. It's like, I want to do I want to be like her.
Well, I don't know if they want to be like me, but they want to come and drink what I'm drinking.
You drink the Kool-Aid, do you?
I drank the Kool-Aid 5 minutes into it. It's just, you get sucked in. You cannot believe how amazing these guys and gals are. I thought I was going to be a little bit out of place because I'm much older than most of them.
Although you sure don't look it, but go ahead.
Well, no, I'm very mature too, so it doesn't show. But I didn't know if I was going to fit in. And I want to tell you, I'm going to try not to cry about it. I have never felt more part of a group than I do with the Team Rubicon fellows. I mean, we call ourselves gray shirts, but among us, we're brothers and sisters. We take care of each other incredibly. I mean, it's just, you have to live it to believe it. I love to work with the veterans, and it's just amazing. It is amazing. They are so humble. They're so incredible. They truly believe that their service with the military is, when it ends, most of them think that that's it. It's a part of their lives. And in my view, it has only prepared them for a lifetime of service. There is nothing these guys and girls cannot do, or are not. I have not seen them give up in any of the operations we've done. I want to explain to you a little
Yes,
bit
please,
of how
I'd
it
like-
works. Let's
please.
say that there's a tornado that hits New Orleans in February. We have a group of people,
Hypothetically, of course.
and we have a recon team, which is a group of people of gray shirts that are already leaving the area.
Keep in the back of your mind that every person that she's mentioning is a volunteer. Nobody's
Right.
getting paid.
Nobody's getting paid.
No, we're
All
all
right.
volunteers. The 65 people that work for Team Rubicon have super important jobs, and one of them is a
Like doing
fundraising.
radio talk shows and
There
stuff.
you go.
Yes, the rest of us do the heavy lifting. No, but I want to
Nice.
say I want to say that leaders and paid employees of Team Rubicon are also gray shirts. They come out and you can see them, mucking at a house, or sweeping, or tarping, being on top of a roof, or just doing.
As a gray shirt too, not as a overpowering leader, and you have to do this and you have to do that.
Everybody
because
looks the same.
I get paid. Once you put on that gray T-shirt that she's wearing, we're all equals.
There is no rank. There is no rank, and there is also not a boss of anybody. We all know what needs to be done, and we just decide what each one of us is going to do, depending on how comfortable you are with what you're doing. Do I feel comfortable, working the chainsaw? Not really. I would rather be up in a roof tarping, and I
Or
will
an excavator.
or an excavator. I love the excavators. But no, it is something that you really enjoy. So we have the recon team that is calling back the operation people and saying, hey, we have work to do here. There's a lot of houses that we could be doing A, B, C, and D. So the call goes out. All the gray shirts that live within 250 miles from the epicenter of the disaster get an email or on Facebook, and it says, we're going to be going down. Who wants to come? You click, and it says, okay, who are you? You put your name, your TR number, because you already went through the 100 and 700 ICS classes. The next question is, do you have insurance? We need you to have insurance. We're all volunteers, and that drives the price down. I don't know if we have had any accidents. I imagine, a nail here or there, but nothing
Plead the fifth
major.
on that one.
We're going to gloss over that one. Okay. And then the next question is, when can you come? And you, as a volunteer, you decide the days that you're going to be volunteer. We mostly ask anywhere from 5 to 7 days, because it's a time that it will take to really get working. And now it goes back to the ferry that takes care of everything. As the disaster grows, and we need more gray shirts, because we're doing a great job, and now we have more work orders houses that we can work on. So now it goes to 450 miles. After 450 miles, it becomes a national operation, correct? When that happens, I in California get that email, and I said, oh, I can do it from this day to this day. And if you're going to come from outside those 450 miles, you're asked to volunteer for at least 7 days. One of the main reasons is that you travel for 2 days, so you're only working for 5. And also, we're very, very lucky that a few airlines, including
Southwest Airlines and Airlink, those are our two big
And
partners.
United.
I was curious to
We're
know how
big
you
par-
get there. Is it out of your pocket when you go?
Absolutely not. We're very lucky that these airlines, and thanks to our 65 people that get paid for Team Rubicon, they are the ones that find the funds and the donations and the big grants for us to be able to
Good.
go to those places. From the moment we leave our home to the moment that we return to our home, we don't have to take our wallet out. Place to stay. a place to work, and a place to shower is provided for us. Mind you, it can be anywhere from a church basement. I don't think we have ever stayed in hotels because we don't want to be a
No.
burden.
We've
to
definitely
the-
slept in tents, though.
I bet.
Yes, outside of Home Depot, we can set up our tents. We have a partnership with Home Depot where they allow us to have our base of operations in their parking lot.
Isn't that nice?
So it's an incredible experience.
I guess it is.
And I think that,
Go ahead.
one thing I'd like to add is in the last couple of segments we've done, we've dropped a lot of names, of organizations that are just amazing, to help us with, like Case Equipment and Home Depot, Still Chainsaws. If it weren't for organizations like Southwest Airlines and Airlink, we would not be able to accomplish what
the
we're
tool
doing.
bank as well,
The tool
right?
bank.
That's wonderful. I'd be curious to know how many of you that are out there today really were familiar with Team Rubicon prior to listening to this show.
And if you're not familiar, I think you should familiarize yourself.
Absolutely.
So go to Team Rubicon USA.
I promise
org.
if they live in a disaster
They've
area,
heard.
they've experienced Team Rubicon. They may not have heard of us, but they've
Yes, I'm sure that's
experienced
true.
our efforts.
I'm sure that's true. So you do some service projects as well, right? What are the types of service projects that you do?
Well, it's part of our training. For example, with the fish and wildlife and the heavy equipment, this past weekend in San Diego, we organized a training. So we invite gray shirts that want to learn how to use heavy equipment to come and learn. But during that training, rather than being in a parking lot and dig a hole here and move these from here to here, we have a relationship with the U.S. I'm so sorry.
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Fish and
Yeah.
Wildlife. And what we did this weekend, we unearthed these very, very big water tanks that were in one of the reserves. So we come in, we take that out, we separated the debris, the dirt from the cement and the bars and everything. And we are working for free and doing a service project for the wildlife reserve, and at the same time we're getting certified for the heavy equipment operation that we will be able to use while removing debris in a disaster
Wow.
relief operation. We don't want to go and learn how to do that when the disaster
Right,
strikes.
you need to know.
We want to know all that, and right now, over the weekend, we have now 10 certified people that can go and use that. And at the same time, we saved a lot of money and time to the wildlife. So that's how we
It's
train.
a win-win. Sure.
Yeah, and so another thing that we've incorporated recently within the last 12 months or so is, we don't have to sit around and wait for a disaster to happen to us. We can get out and create our own mitigation operations. So we'll assemble a team of sawyers, of chainsaw operators, to cut down what we call high fuel trees. Those are, like maybe bug beetles have killed them, or they're trees that were previously damaged, in a wildfire that are now just standing and waiting to be reburned, like kindling. So we will cut those down. We'll what we call buck and limb them. It's like kind of quartering them and taking all the branches off.
Is that what the golden oak was?
It is, yeah.
There's I took a picture of that when I was in your
Yeah.
office. That's really cool.
Yeah, we
'Cause you
spent
are-
a lot of time in Santa Clarita, just north of here, in response to the sand fire that was in.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't very long ago, was it? That was
Yeah.
very recent.
That was last fall. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, guess what? I selected this song for you guys. You guys didn't select this, but I think that it's so appropriate, How to Save a Life. I know you can well up, can't you?
Yes, I mean, these guys, I love what I do.
Kind of a crybaby.
Oh, well,
I
you know-
am not a crybaby, Mike. I just love what I do, and I'm so proud to be working with the people that I do. I can't believe they have taken me.
Wow. It makes me well up. We're going to take our last break, everyone. This could have been a 5-hour show. I could have just done 5 hours with Lorena. Anyway, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break.
Let him know that you know best, 'cause after all you do know best. Try to slip past his defense without granting innocence. Lay down
know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Marsha Wietecha, inviting you to join me every Monday at 1 p.m. for Born to Talk, where conversation plus connections equal community. Be sure to tune in to Born to Talk with Marsha Wietecha, Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also listen live at iTunes Radio R&B, TuneIn Radio, Radio Flag, Live 365, or AHA Radio. This is reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. We are LA Talk Live, and we are born to talk. Okay, It's Your World by Bob Seger. I'm telling you, in my next live, DJ, I'm just going to be DJ Marsha. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody, as this time is just flying by. And this is a very special day. For some of you, you may be listening live. For the rest of you, you may have come back later after you've maybe celebrated with your military families. I know that I grew up in a family. My father was in the National Guards and then the Reserves. He retired as a... I don't remember his rank now, but, you know, I grew up, yes, sir, and how high do you want me to jump? I understand that. But this is a special day, and it was one of the reasons I thought it would be such an important day for you guys to be here as we recognize the veterans that are around the country. But I also wanted to let you know about next week's show, which is not about veterans, it's about parenthood. I'm having a woman on by the name of Jacqueline T.D. Wynn, and she's actually a broadcaster as I am. She does a podcast, and she is a author, and she is a public speaker. She's from Vietnam. She has an interesting story about how she got here when she was 8 years old. And I've never met her, and I'm looking forward to, I met her on LinkedIn. You know, that's, people ask me, how do you get your guests? Well, thanks to Jeremy Neal, that's how you guys are here. But, you know, I get guests on many different ways. If you're interested in being a guest, you know how to reach me. If you're listening to the show, reach out. But what we can do now in this final segment is that, how do people get involved? How do you get that word out there? I know we've talked about your TeamRubiconUSA.org, and that's a beautiful website. It gives you so much information. You can enroll, like you said, but can people just decide to join? I mean, is that how it works?
Yes, that's exactly how it works. If you're more interested and we haven't answered or actually have raised more questions about Team Rubicon than answering them, you can go on YouTube and put Team Rubicon and start by watching Team Rubicon Genesis, which speaks of the story. It's a 7-minute, 8-minute video that speaks about what Team Rubicon is and where it was born. And you'll be energized, and next thing you know, you've watched 10 videos and you can...
Oh, they're super addicting.
They are addicting, and they're very well made, and some of them are just organic and other ones have been professionally made, but they're very, very good because it gives you an idea of what the essence of what Team Rubicon is, and you will be touched, moved, and inspired. Once that happens, you decide how much you want to be involved. Do you want to become a gray shirt? Do you want to be part of leadership, which is also a volunteer position? You're a gray shirt, but you're also doing leadership positions. I'm in leadership because I'm the district coordinator for San Diego, which means that I try to get the word out about TR, attend different events, have a table for awareness, create opportunities for training, and to keep the people organized. I want to keep the veterans and the gray shirts in my area contacting each other, even during the blue skies, when no disaster training or no disaster.
Blue skies, there's nothing really happening, skies are blue.
Exactly. And I think that, you know, one important aspect to keep in mind is there's no commitment involved. Aside from the initial, 2 classes that we mandate be taken, which are online. They're very easy. You can kind of just peruse through them while you're watching television at nighttime and answer a quick, 10 question quiz at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, we're not asking anyone to commit anything at all after that. Obviously, we would prefer that people become more involved,
Sure.
but the larger our volunteer numbers become, the easier it is for people to say yes and no at their own leisure,
Sure.
as opposed to feeling, like that they're burdened by having to take time off of work or time
I was
away
just
from
going
their
to
family.
say, some of these people, they're still employed, actively employed.
When I originally joined as a volunteer, father of 3, and all of my kids were under the age of 5, Army Reserve, I was in a full-time MBA program, and I was working full-time.
My
and
gosh.
I joined Team Rubicon. And I said no dozens of times on projects and operations and training events because I just didn't have the opportunity at that time. I had maybe 4 free weekends a year, after everything else kind of shook
Sure.
out. But eventually I said yes. And then it's like Lorena said, you start drinking the Kool-Aid. After that first event that you attend and you realize that you're with your people again, as veterans, like you kind of get back together of like, hey, this is what it's like, again, to be with an organization or a group of individuals that get it, that understand that service is above, kind of my normal everyday life. So, but like I said, there's no commitment. We would be happy to have 80,000 volunteers or 200,000 volunteers, and everyone look at their schedules and say, you know what, I can't do a whole lot, but I can probably deploy on one operation for 2 days this year, and that's all they do.
I'm within 250
Exactly.
miles.
Yes.
Exactly. And I imagine that you would never turn down a donation.
No. And the amazing thing about Team Rubicon, after working with different nonprofits for many, many years, is that when you sign as a gray shirt, when you sign as a volunteer, you don't have a financial burden on you. You don't have to donate. We know of so many athletic events that you volunteer and you're going to be walking or running, but you have to pay. Team Rubicon is not like that. They want you. Our way to pay is by working when we're being deployed, when we're training. You just give your 100%. That's what Team Rubicon wants from you.
You know what's ironic, though,
What's
is that I don't know the percentage, but a large percentage of our volunteers are monthly donors to Team
Interesting.
Rubicon. Yeah, so
It's part of their budget.
they do. And I'm one of them. I started when I first signed up as a volunteer, and I said, I'm so passionate about this organization that I don't want to just donate my time. I want to donate, some of my financial, abilities. So, there is no commitment, and nobody ever asks. Like you'll never see, we never target gray shirts to volunteer or donate, funds, but people do it anyway because that's where their passion lies.
And if our listeners want to donate, there's a space in our, teamrubiconusa.org where they can donate. And I want to tell you something very exciting. We're very open about our finances. And as gray shirts, one of the rules we have 5 or 6 rules. One of them is your mom is the donor. And what that means is that we have a fiduciary obligation to make sure that all the equipment that we use, all the shirts that we use, all the equipment, shirts, the hotels not the hotels, but wherever we stay, the airlines we use, everything we use it in a way that if we went to go home for the holidays and our mom had donated $10, we can say this is where your money went to. We don't waste anything. We don't drive nice cars when we're in an operation. We don't eat at the best restaurants. We just want the money to go as far as we can. The more money we have, the more days we can help in any community. So we're very thankful to everybody that donates. And as a gray shirt, not part of the paid 65, I'm very thankful to our CEO and our founder and everyone at a C level that their full-time job, it seems to me, is fundraising. So we gray shirts can get down to the work that we signed up for, and we don't have to use our money. But
What a business model. Holy
is.
cow! You've
And-
got an MBA. You know this is quite a business model.
Yeah, and one of my classes I took was financial accounting. So to know that our dollar stretches from $1 donated to $7 of a community impact, that's amazing. So every dollar that someone donates on an operation, we're able to turn that into $7 worth of community impact.
Do you hear this song?
Mm-hmm.
This is a beautiful day.
It is. Thank you.
It is. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
I have such a high five for you two. It's a pleasure to do what I do every single week and meet the most remarkable people. People ask me, how do you do this each week? Well, how hard can it be? Look at the people.
It's
Look
not
at-
us.
No.
It's Team Rubicon, and we're very grateful to them.
Well, and that's what I mean. I should have played Humble and Kind. That would have been a great song
That's
for
right.
you as well. I'm just delighted to be in your presence. Jeremy, thanks so much for connecting us, and for Russell and Simon that connected me to Jeremy. It just goes on and on. What a blessed life. Richard, thanks so much for running the boards today.
Thank you for having us.
Really, it's
Thanks for
been...
the snacks, Richard.
Yeah, thanks for the snacks, Richard. And everybody, stay tuned, because next week it'll be another fascinating show with Jacqueline T.D. Wynn.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you so
Memorial
much.
Day.
Happy Memorial Day,
Happy
everybody.
Memorial Day.
Thank you, you guys.
Bye-bye.
And it's been all over you. It's a beautiful day. Don't let it get away. It's a beautiful day. Touch me. Take me to that other place. Teach me. I know I'm not a hopeless case. See the world in green and blue. See China right in front of you. See the
Thank you for tuning into LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network, original reality radio, and crafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk. Stay tuned.
after the flood, all the colors came